Coming up on Good Morning El Paso, the latest on the TB scare at Providence Memorial. We've learned that more babies have tested positive for tuberculosis, why doctors say they could be false negatives. And the 2 nurses who contracted Ebola in Texas are now getting treatment in other parts of the country, why the CDC is reaching out to more potential contacts. Also,
the ban is less effective than the measures that we are currently instituting.
As pressure mounts to impose a travel ban on West Africa, President Obama says he's not convinced it would work, but could he instead appoint an Ebola czar?
Live, where news comes first. From the Mesilla Valley and Las Cruces to El Paso and the borderland. This is ABC 7's Good Morning El Paso.
The first nurse to be diagnosed with Ebola after treating an infected Liberian man at a Dallas hospital is continuing her treatment at the National Institutes of Health Clinical Center. This is video of Nina Pham arriving at NIH last night. The 26-year-old will be treated in an isolation unit, one of 4 in the entire country. Pham had been treated at Texas Health Presbyterian Hospital in Dallas, where officials say she was in good condition. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Good Morning El Paso. I'm Hillary Floren. Bob Harp is off. If you're just joining us, we'll get to more complete coverage of the Ebola situation coming up in just a bit. But first, it is Friday. We've got our eyes on that weekend. Crystal Cly has a nice forecast for us. Interesting, if not anything else, right?
Yeah, that's right. We definitely have a lot of changes moving in weekend into your next work week. Today, though, finally that last day of consistency. Starting out pretty pleasant, 60 degrees in El Paso, some clouds out there, but mostly clear and calm conditions. Las Cruces winds at 6 miles per hour and 56 your temperature. Again, not a bad start at all, a little warmer than we have been seeing thanks to yesterday's warm afternoon. Today will be another warm one. Do plan accordingly if you have plans later on today outside. Temperatures are moving right back to the 80s. We'll look at that coming up in your forecast a few minutes from now.
Looking forward to it. Thanks so much, Crystal. To the headlines now. A family is in mourning the loss of a teenager this morning following a 2-vehicle crash that happened in Las Cruces. 4 other teenagers involved in that crash are still in critical condition this morning. It happened yesterday afternoon at the intersection of University and Travis right near NMSU. Police say an 18-year-old girl was riding in a pickup with 4 other teens when the truck crashed into another one. That 18-year-old died at the scene. Investigators believe the driver of the truck that she was riding in ran a red light. Police add none of the teens were wearing a seatbelt. And back here in El Paso, a man is in critical condition right now after he crashed his motorcycle into an SUV. It happened yesterday around 5:30 p.m. at Dyer and Leo in northeast El Paso. Emergency dispatchers said the motorcyclist may have been thrown more than 50 feet. No word on who was at fault. El Paso police, Al Nassim, tell us they could not give us any more information without first talking with Fort Bliss military police. To New Mexico now, where a man from Hatch is accused of selling beer to the teenagers who actually got into that deadly crash Tuesday night. This is the mugshot of 65-year-old Alfredo Alanis. Investigators claim he sold 8 cans of beer to a 13-year-old boy. That boy was allegedly with this girl, 16-year-old Vanessa Rodriguez, and her friends. Vanessa allegedly took her parents' truck without permission to go drinking. Vanessa will be charged as an adult. DWI charges for her are still pending. The family of a Las Cruces cancer patient killed in a plane crash is now suing the company hired to fly him for his treatment. On August 27th, the plane carrying Frederick Green crashed just west of the Las Cruces airport shortly after takeoff. Green's family is suing Elite Medical Transport now out of El Paso and Southwest Aviation and Amigo Aviation in Las Cruces. The pilot, a nurse, and a medic were also killed in that crash. A report by federal investigators found the wrong fuel was poured into the plane's fuel compartment. ABC 7 called and emailed the president of Elite Medical Transport for comment, but we have not received a response. Well, back to Ebola now. The 2 nurses who contracted Ebola in Texas are now getting treatment in different parts of the country. And now the CDC is alerting even more people about potential exposure. Here's ABC's John Ehrlichman with the latest developments right now.
Amber Vinson, the second nurse to contract Ebola at a Dallas hospital, was apparently unwell as early as Friday before she flew from Dallas to Cleveland. The CDC now reaching out to passengers on that Frontier Airlines flight, as well as her flight back to Dallas.
Your risk is as close to 0 as it can be because Amber Vinson was not having the symptoms that would put you at risk.
This as the investigation into how both nurses contracted the deadly virus intensifies. Brianna Aguirre, a nurse at Texas Health Presbyterian, explaining the scene inside the hospital.
This is what makes me so upset right here. Her neck is hanging out.
Meanwhile, in Washington, President Obama saying he's open to appointing an Ebola czar.
It may be appropriate for me to appoint an additional person.
As for a potential travel ban on travelers from West Africa, the president not convinced.
The problem is that in all the discussions I've had thus far with experts in the field, experts in infectious disease, is that a travel ban is less effective than the measures that we are currently instituting.
The emergence of Ebola in America has sparked concern across the country. At Coming Attractions bridal shop, where Vincent helped her bridesmaids choose dresses, the owner says employees are too afraid to return to work, even though Vincent seemed fine.
There was no coughing, sneezing, nothing like that.
And so the CDC is communicating not just with the people who were on that flight from Cleveland to Dallas with Amber Vinson, but the people also on that initial flight. John Ehrlichman, ABC News, Dallas.
We're going from Ebola. We're going to lighten things up a little bit right now. We're talking about Batman and Superman against each other, apparently. We'll see the two superheroes go head-to-head in 2016. Filming of the movie is happening a short drive from El Paso in my hometown of Deming. Good morning, El Paso's Denise Olivas joins us live with the details. I know there's a lot of excitement among my friends.
There is, Hillary, and I know you would be excited for this story too. Well, Deming residents, keep your eyes peeled for Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill. They are the A-list leading men of the movie, and filming is expected to begin next month. But construction of the movie set is underway. You can see from these aerial shots, crews are hard at work. Ben Affleck will play the new Batman, and Henry Cavill returns as Superman. And this is just the beginning for Warner Brothers. Earlier this week, it announced a lineup of superhero movies based on DC Comics. Warner Brothers plans to release at least 10 movies in the next several years. They include Wonder Woman and Justice League Part 1 in 2017, The Flash and Aquaman in 2018, and Cyborg and the Green Lantern in 2020. So a very busy next few years for Warner Brothers. But again, it all begins with Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. A release date is scheduled for March of 2016, and the New Mexico Film Office posted a casting call on its website. It doesn't confirm that it's for the Batman Superman movie, but there are a few hints. We'll talk about that in our next half hour and give you all that information too. Hillary, back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Denise. We have a traffic alert right now that will be causing some major backup. We're sorry to report this weekend. Starting tomorrow at 8 p.m., I-10 will be completely closed between Americas and Zaragoza. The closure will run from 8 p.m. Saturday until 6 p.m. Sunday, almost 24 hours. You're going to want to wait to avoid that area if you can. Once again, both east and westbound lanes will be completely closed, so we know there will be a lot of backup ensuing. Right now, this is a live look at traffic. Things are moving nicely. I-10 and Hawkins, all the construction cleared out for the morning for that commute as it picks up, and traffic moving nicely east and westbound. The rest of the borderland looking nice as well. We've been monitoring traffic. No problems to tell you about right now. Right now, we do have more complete coverage of the Ebola crisis. 4,000 U.S. troops will be deploying to the Ebola hot zone, as we told you, next month. We are going to give you an exclusive look at how soldiers at Fort Bliss are preparing for the mission, and we're going to talk to some spouses. That's coming up. Also,
Why would she be fully covered? Every part of her covered at least by 1, 2, 3 layers, and her neck is exposed.
frustrated by the way things were handled, a nurse at Texas Presbyterian is speaking out, blaming the hospital for the infection of those 2 nurses. What else she had to say is coming up ahead. And meteorologist Crystal Clay, as always, standing by with a look at our forecast, but a little twist to that forecast today.
Yeah, today's that last day of consistency. Then we start to see all the changes moving on in winds, rain, and cooler temps, all in the forecast. We'll talk more about it after your break.
Thanks, Crystal. This is ABC 7, where news comes first.
ABC 7's Good Morning El Paso with Hillary Floren, Bob Hart, Storm Track Weather Meteorologist Crystal Clay, and live reports from Denise Olivas.